Hello and welcome. I am Sai with Healthy Fit Self, and I am back with a challenge that I just finished that I want to share with you. That was probably the most life-changing challenge that I have ever done in a positive way. It was such a good experience. What I did is go 14 days of 2-day challenges. These challenges were all back-to-back, and they were of eating a single food or drink for 2 days exclusively with nothing else included. And it was truly an amazing experience. It taught me so much. So I want to share exactly what I did, why I did it, and some of the insights that I've had as a result of it, so that maybe you can take these things with you and use them for yourself in whatever way you can. So starting off, I want to say that I did lose 10 pounds. It's been a few days since the challenge ended, and I'm hovering at about 8 pounds under what I started. So this could be a way for somebody to lose weight, but I wouldn't recommend that you did it exactly how I do it, because I do think that that is kind of torturous. However, the insights that I have developed make me feel like what you can learn from what I did to maybe use it as a tool to help you to lose weight if that is what you want to do. I'm going to share with you how I would do it going forward. So that being said, I got started on this challenge for something completely outside of weight loss. There is a person by the name of Eli Martyr, and he is a self-proclaimed frugivore or fruitarian, and he has a channel called the FreeMelon Society if you want to check it out. And I want to say up front that I really do like Eli. I think that he is a good person, and I think he's on the side of freedom, which is the same side that I'm on. And so in the time that we live in, he is somebody who I highly respect because of the goodness that he has. Now, Eli has claimed that he eats only a couple of times a day, sometimes less, sometimes more, but maybe he reaches 1,000 calories a day, he says. Maybe a little more sometimes or less. And by what he has said, it seems like he's even eating less than that, if it's true. So, for example, he said sometimes he'll eat a cantaloupe or two, and that could be anywhere between 250 to 700 calories or so, depending on the size of the cantaloupes and whether he ate one or two for the day. So that's nothing. He also has says some days that he eats plums for breakfast, maybe like 5 or 6 plums, and then later on in the day he might eat a melon, and I'm not sure how much melon, but the way that I'm calculating it is he's definitely probably staying under 1,000 calories on those days. And he claims that he lives like this all the time, that he eats specifically fruit, and that he only on rare, very, very rare occasions will eat nuts. And the only other thing that he eats, which is semi-regular, which is not very regular according to him, is greens or some kind of green leafy vegetables, raw. And that's his thing, is to eat these fruits and vegetables raw. So myself, I've experienced this. I was a raw food person strictly for 8 months. And in addition to that, I was a vegan for a very long time, but I didn't have the kind of experience that he's having. There were ups and downs to it. I did feel like I was generally healthy, but looking back, I think I'm more healthy now that I'm not vegan anymore. That being said, the idea of just eating these fruits he gives you, and in addition, he doesn't eat any salt at all. And he's acrobatic. He looks healthy for a person who is a fruitarian. And he looks kind of healthy in general, although a little skinny, but he does have muscle tone, and he is able to do acrobatic stuff. He's very good with handstands and things like that, and doing body weight type exercises. He looks like for his body weight and what he has to carry, he is actually very fit and healthy. That being said, there is a question about what might happen with him long term, including what might happen to his teeth and what might happen to his health in general. So when I first heard though that he was only eating this amount of calories and that really he was a strict fruitarian and he was eating only fruit, I thought that he was really full of it. I thought there's no way that he could eat that limited amount of calories. But I saw another video of him not too long ago, and this is what inspired me to do what I did. In that video, he said that we are frugivores and we're meant to eat fruit. And if you really want to know how a food works with your body, then try eating a single food for 3 days and see what that's like. So I thought, wow, I'm going to do this. But I didn't want to go 3 days. I thought that was a little bit long because I wanted to experiment with multiple foods. And I didn't want to just do 1 day because I thought that's probably not enough to really get an idea. So I went 2 days. And you have to understand, the first thoughts are, I'm looking at this guy, although I don't believe in a fountain of youth, I'm thinking, wow, what if this guy's really figured out something, how to eat like such a small amount of calories and really be very, very healthy, and maybe, like he says, you know, that you have a different sort of consciousness if you're eating this way. And so, although skeptical, I had this idea like, what if? So I decided to start off with fruit to try this. But I wanted to get myself nice and clean for the first couple of days. So I did straight ginger fast for the first couple of days, where I had nothing but ginger tea with no sugar, no salt, no anything. And for the second day, I went into grapes, and grapes tasted amazing, but it was hard to get enough calories. On the third day, I went to almonds, thinking that this was going to be a little bit of a relief, still wanting to do kind of the vegan thing. But the almonds were very hard to eat a lot of, and I didn't feel as good on the almonds as I did on the fruit. But that being said, it kind of showed that Eli did have some credibility with what he was saying, that it's easier to probably eat fruit than it is to eat a lot of almonds. That being said, I still think I surpassed on the first day the calories of what I had with the grapes on almonds, but for the second day I couldn't eat enough of the almonds to even get as high as I did the first day. So basically on the second day I basically failed at even reaching what I did with the average on the grapes per day. That being said, the almonds, when I would be hungry, I'd feel okay. The next day I had watermelon. So this is so this is the fourth challenge of 2-day challenges. So this is actually day 7. I started on watermelon, and watermelon was amazingly tasty. I was able to eat a little bit more calories than the grapes, and it tasted great, but there was some discomfort after eating the watermelon, and I still couldn't get to my calorie needs. But I did feel really good, probably the best on watermelon overall when I was hungry. And so I think there's some credibility in the idea that there's a different consciousness with different types of foods, meaning that watermelon, I felt very spiritually good and very clear-minded and very happy, mostly when I had digested the watermelon. And it was a good watermelon, so it tasted amazing. So watermelon was good. I was very excited for the day 9 to start of eating beef, going from the vegan to the animal eating world. And when I ate beef for 2 days, the first day of eating beef, of course, when I had my first bites, it was just ground beef and a fatty ground beef that didn't have any salt or anything. So it tasted very plain, but it did taste good, but I couldn't eat as much as I thought I was going to eat, although I did surpass my calories that I had been getting for the other foods up to that point for the whole day. And I adjusted to it and ate a little bit less following that meal. And by the second day of eating beef, I felt literally amazing. And it did change my consciousness a little bit. I could notice a change in my head. And I don't know what it means exactly, but what I can say is that the feeling that I had when I was on beef for 2 days was truly amazing. I did eat cold beef once, and it did not taste good at all, just so you know. And the fatty part, that when it was cold, really tasted bad. And I want to just let you know I was eating ground beef for these whole 2 days. That being said, I waited for longer on the second day to eat, and when I waited for longer, the beef even tasted better. It was obviously warm, and I really felt amazing on beef. I can say that maybe of all things, I felt satisfied and I felt generally good and just strong in my body, very good and clear in my mind, and it was a great experience on the beef. The next day, or the next 2 days, so days 11 and 12, I had just milk. I could drink the most calories on just organic whole milk, and it was very, very tasty. I do like milk, but I did find that I got bored of drinking milk, and it was just, I felt full of milk for most of the time, so I had a little bit less calories the second day, averaging 2,100 calories per day on the milk. I was feeling strong and feeling good on milk, maybe a slight change of consciousness. And then came days 13 and 14 where I ate just eggs. This was the hardest part of the challenge. I ate them raw, hard-boiled, scrambled. Scrambled was the best. I even had a concern that I might have gotten salmonella from the raw eggs at one point because everything just kind of moved through me, but that quickly subsided. I didn't have anything after the first day from the eggs that was negative, except for that I just generally didn't feel as good on that many eggs. I was ready to end that challenge by the end of the first day, but I did eat much less calories on the second day. So I was very short on calories for the egg challenge. Maybe not as short as I was on the fruits, but I can say probably that I felt the worst on the almonds and the eggs, and then the beef, watermelon, and grapes I probably felt the best on. Some insights that I got though are just about appreciation and about being thankful for the food that you have. That is one of the things that I just think we take for granted. Even the pleasurable foods, the foods that we like, sometimes we just get so used to having them that we're maybe not hungry when we have them, or they're good, but we just take it for granted so much that we don't really appreciate it. And so this whole idea of not having much calories that Eli was doing made me think about food differently and how there's so much flexibility. You can eat less calories one day and more another day, and you can basically go by how your body feels eating those foods, especially if they're healthy type foods. If you feel like, oh, I want to eat more eggs one day, then eat more. Or if you want to eat a bunch of watermelon one day, eat a bunch of watermelon. But not to worry about what might be next for your day, as much as knowing that you're going to follow what your body wants and you're going to be thankful. And that is the key. Probably being hungry and thankful for your food when you are eating it has amazing benefits. And so I forgot to mention, but during this time, all of the time when I was doing these, even the fasting part, I did my regular workouts. I didn't hold back on anything because I wanted to make sure that I would know what it would be like to be even calorie restricted, but kind of following this way of thinking, well, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to get what I need. So I lost the weight, like I said, that I did, and that is something I think that would just continue to happen on a fruit-based diet. And so Eli has even acknowledged that you do lose strength and you do lose muscle mass when you go to a fruit-based diet or a fruit strictly diet. And I'm sure that is true for everyone. And you technically do get weaker, although you may be really strong if you continue to work out for your body weight, although you're going to be a lot lighter and a lot leaner. So you kind of have to decide if that's something you want, and I don't really want that. I want to feel like I can keep getting stronger if I want to, and I believe that animal foods are good for that. I do believe, like I said, that it's just amazing insight just of being thankful and thinking of foods in a way where you can eat more one day and eat less another day. Another great insight that I had during this challenge was just how good it feels to be calorie restricted sometimes, and even really on fruit, that's an amazing experience, or with fasting. And the fasting is just amazing. The insights that you can have and the way that your body does kind of relax after a while if you just let go of the idea that you need food. You will be hungry, but if you relax and just breathe sometimes and just feel how you feel, you can feel your body using the excess, whatever is in your cells, and for 2 days of fasting, you really do go to a point where you start to have something called autophagy occur, and you're literally taking cells that are maybe not in the best shape, and your clean cells or your good cells are literally taking those cells, breaking them down, and your body is using them to make everything else better. It's getting rid of the dead kind of bad cells and rejuvenating your whole body. And just the feeling that you can have when you're going through that is amazing. And I do think that a lot of the reasons fruitarians and people who are calorie restricted feel good is because they are kind of in a state where their body is eating itself in a way. And there is something that is satisfying about that, as long as you don't get so addicted to it that you don't eat and that you develop anorexia or some kind of eating disorder. It's very important to eat and eat what you want and need to be healthy. And I recommend eating healthy foods or healthful foods, but not really restricting yourself. However, the insight of eating one food per day, I would say that was what I would do for other people, for myself even going forward, is do a day of eating something exclusively and try it without salt. See how your body responds to it. See if that food, if you can eat much of it or you can't get enough, but really just feel it for a day and see how your body does on it. And you will discover the greatest insights, things that I can't even put into words really, about how you feel on this single food, knowing how this food is affecting you and knowing how much you can eat of it without anything else on it. It is truly, like I said, beyond words, the whole experience and what it can do for you as a person and the freedom it can give you when you finish doing challenges like this. It just opens up a whole new world and a way of thinking about food that you may not have thought about it before. And like I said, I would do that for a day maximum. Why put yourself through hell for a couple of days when you can really kind of experience what that's like for a whole day, and then you'll be really ready to either eat normally or try something else the next day. And I would probably recommend trying eating normally the next day and then waiting and doing another day like that when you're ready. But it really will kind of show you kind of what your limit is for that kind of a food, even in a single sitting. In addition to that, I did discover something very important, and it's especially applied to when you're eating mostly fruit or only fruit. There is virtually no sodium in any of those fruits. There's a tiny amount in some, but it's such an insignificant amount that you can develop a condition called hyponatremia. And that was one thing that I kind of feel like I was on the borderline, but it can be fatal. And at some point during the challenge, I realized that I had to, a couple of days, add a little bit of, I used Himalayan sea salt, but any kind of really good clean salt would be a good thing to add to some water, and just drink that when you are in the state where you're not getting any salt from anything else. And I think that's a very important thing to do to keep yourself healthy and to keep yourself from dying, and basically just to feel better. I found I was getting like a very stiff neck by about the 6th or 7th day in, and that was when it was completely no salt in my diet whatsoever. And that's when I added a little in, and I tried to go most of the rest of the time without it, but I did allow myself those couple times where I had maybe a half of a teaspoon in water to just get myself in a position where I was not really at a high risk of having anything serious happen. And that goes back to this Eli thing. I want to say that I don't really think what he's doing with the salt is a good idea, but there is an amazing insight to be had from this. So my battery died, so I had to restart this part of the video, but just want to sum things up really quickly with the whole idea that some people drink too much water and some people drink too little water. And the media is always telling us how we have to stay hydrated. And it's true that we do need to stay hydrated, but we really don't need to just be drinking water and more water. If you're sweating a lot or losing a lot of water for some reason, you're out in the hot all day, then it makes sense to drink more water. But if you drink a lot of water, again, then you have to take more salt in. So instead of looking for something like I would in the past to see my pee be totally clear, it's better to look at your pee to be more of just a light yellow color. And as long as it's not dark, if it's just a light yellow color, then you're probably good. And let your thirst tell you if you need something to drink. And you've probably heard that you need to drink before you're thirsty, because when you're thirsty it's too late. But that's probably not as true as what the people really believed it was, and I think that a lot of people believe that. The bottom line is that you don't need to just be guzzling water all the time. And if you do guzzle water all the time, you're going to probably need to take in a little bit more salt. So all these things being said, I do want to go ahead and wrap this up because this has been a long video, but there's so many insights to be had and understood from trying one food at a time without anything else on it. And I really think that it might be something you want to try out. And I hope that this video was insightful and that it will inspire you in some way to do something good for yourself and find out more what your body likes. And that being said, I hope that you'll share this video if you liked it and subscribe to this channel. And on that note, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.